Members, the House and Committee on the Māori Purposes Bill. Point of order, Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Pursuant to a discussion in the Business Committee yesterday, I seek leave for the provisions of the Māori Purposes Bill to be considered in one debate, with the votes to be taken separately.
Leave is sought for that purpose. Is there any objection? The question, yes, the question therefore is that Part 1 stand part, and this is debate on clauses 3 to 11 and the schedule. The Honourable Te Rauā Flavel.
Tēnā ko sika kia ora tātou katoa tēnei ahi, ka nui te mihi kia tātou. Can I just acknowledge that there's a need to take, I suppose, the debate apart. It was my view, if I can just talk to the Māori Affairs Select Committee, that the amendments that were proposed in the paper were relatively minor, of significance, and that we had general agreement, but be that as it may, I'll leave that there because we voted on it and we'll move on. Then we'll go through those bits and pieces as we get there. Mr Speaker, Mr Chair, this is an omnibus bill which amends basically the Māori Purposes Bill of 1991 to improve the governance and operational capability of the Wipere Trust and to correct a minor technical error in the Māori Trust Board's order of 2012. The trust that we're talking about is the Wipere Trust, was set up in 1899 to administer the estate of Wipere, who was a prominent East Coast MP in his day, and of course he was setting up this trust for the purposes of his whānau and the beneficiaries. It later became a statutory trust, and we have made some amendments to that bill. To the trust deed. I'll talk to those shortly, but also add that we've added on a couple of supplementary order papers which I'll talk to as well, while we have the opportunity, which, as the Speaker has outlined, is able to be done in this process. Mr Speaker, as the bill states, this is all about improving the governance and operational capability of the Wipere Trust. It removes ministerial involvement from the trust governance, which is something that the trust themselves ask for. Currently, Mr Speaker, Mr Chair, the Minister for Māori Development appoints the trustees for the trust and can remove trustees for misconduct. However, we're passing that responsibility back to the trust. This bill establishes a new trust board structure, providing the trust board with autonomy to make decisions for themselves and amend its accountability arrangements back to the beneficiaries. The bill also enables the trust to hold general title land, supporting the trust's economic aspirations to do more with the land if they so wish, increasing the trust's economic development activities while reinforcing the protections of Māori freehold land. The bill clarifies the trust succession arrangements through the provision of lineal descent of Wipere to succeed to beneficial interests, and the bill also clarifies the jurisdiction of the Māori Land Court and the High Court. Mr Speaker, I've also be introducing these supplementary order papers. There are three of them that have been mentioned earlier. They are to do with providing in three places. The first one to do with the Māori television service, and that is talking about, I suppose, making technical amendments to the Māori Television Service Act in 2003. That needs to be tidied up to remove references to Te Pūtahi Pāho, an entity which will no longer exist actually when the Ture Whenua Mō Te Reo Māori Act 2016 is enacted. And that's pretty straightforward. It's addressing the fact that we have an entity in place. It will be out of existence. Therefore, we're adjusting the law to deal with that, relatively minor in the scheme of things. The second supplementary order, Mr Speaker, is amending the Te Arawa Claims Settlement Act of 2015 with a new Part 1B. Now, this supplementary order paper provides certainty as to the mandated iwi organisation, commonly known as a MEO, their status for Te Arawa, enabling for Te Arawa to manage its fisheries assets on behalf of the iwi and make contributions from those assets to various marae. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. The third supplementary order paper, Mr Speaker, is amending the Ture Whenua Māori Act of 1993 and a new Part 3 later on. This supplementary order paper amends inequitable and in some cases unachievable financial reporting requirements for Māori incorporations inadvertently introduced through the what's called the Financial Reporting Amendments to Other Enactments Act of 2013. So as you, Mr Speaker, in your statements in respect of how we've ended up in this position of having to debate those, go clause by clause, basically these are relatively minor and not controversial issues to be addressed, and I'll look forward to what people have to say from there.